Hi everyone, it's Casey from the Lane Small Business Development Center. Today we're going to visit a client, but we're also going to do something a little bit different. So the client we're going to go visit today is Astrolo tea, and she makes loose leaf tea and sells it on Etsy and online. And so we're going to go visit her and talk about our business and talk about our experience with the Lane SBDC like we always do. But also, she's going to teach us how to brew loose leaf tea correctly. So I'm a fan of tea, but it turns out I don't really know the correct way to brew it. And it really does need to be brewed correctly for it to taste its best. So she's going to show us, and there's a lot of tips and information in what she's going to share. And I really like the idea of this type of video. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to bring some more teaching videos from our clients to you soon. So if you're a client and you're interested in showing our audience how to correctly use your product or something that you sell, please get in touch with me. I'll put the information here in the video on how to get in touch with me. Otherwise, let's go check out the loose leaf tea and learn how to do it correctly. Okay, so I'm here today with Pamela from Astrolo Tea, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her business and then show us how to correctly brew tea. So can you tell us what type of tea you sell in your shop?
Yes, I sell handcrafted organic loose leaf tea blends.
And how did you get into making tea?
Well, I had a few health issues that I was concerned about, and I've studied herbs for years and years, and I thought I would try and heal myself. So I started looking for tea in the stores, and I tried a bunch of different kinds of like medicinal teas, and I didn't find anything that I liked. Either it didn't work, or it didn't taste very good, or it had a lot of like chemicals and flavorings in it, and I didn't like anything, so I thought, I guess I'll just start making my own.
All right, and how long have you been doing it?
I full-on business-wise for 4 years.
Okay, great. So now you're going to show us the correct process to brew tea. Why is it important to brew it correctly?
So many reasons. First, a lot of people think that they don't really like tea. They think it's like just sort of, like mildly flavored hot water. And mostly it's because they don't know how to brew it. Also, a lot of people use tea bags, and tea bags are not high quality tea, generally speaking, and so when you use loose leaf tea and you brew it properly, you'll get a much more flavorful, robust cup of tea. So it's super important to understand all of the elements that go into brewing tea and why to do it the proper way.
Okay, so what is the first step?
The first step has to do with water.
Okay.
So you can't just use anything. Like some people they'll put water in a kettle and then they'll boil it and then they'll leave it on the stove and then they'll reboil it for the next cup. You don't want to do that. First of all, you need to use freshly pulled water, which means you need to pull it fresh out of the faucet, because the oxygen content in the water is crucial for the flavor coming out of black tea leaves and also out of herbs. You need to use freshly pulled water. So temperature is one of the next most important things. When you're brewing black tea or even herbal blends, you need to boil the water, but only just boiling. So if it's not boiling, then it's not hot enough to release all of the compounds of the tea leaves. If it's been boiling for too long, then it can scorch the leaves and it will make the tea more bitter. So you definitely want to have it to just boiling.
What's our next step?
Well,
we have to wait for the water.
We have to wait for the water to boil. So what we can talk about in the meantime is different things that you can brew the tea in.
Okay.
Now my number one favorite way to brew tea, loose leaf tea, is in a French press.
Why is that?
It is the easiest for brewing and it's the easiest for cleanup. It's just easy,
Yeah.
and straightforward. And it shows, and you can see how pretty the tea is too.
So how do you do it? You put the tea in there.
Yes, so I pre-measured this.
Okay.
So you measure out your tea. For most tea, you would measure out 2 teaspoons per 8 ounces of water. And most people drink more than an 8-ounce cup, because 8 ounces is actually not a lot of liquid. So most of us drink more than that. And play around with it. If you like milder tea, use a little bit less tea leaves. If you like stronger tea, use a little bit more. So pre-measure it out, and all you have to do is put the tea leaves in, then we'll pour the water in and let it sit. And then I'll show you how you can press it down after the timer. So French press is definitely my most favorite way, because you only need one piece of equipment. Well, 2. You need a way to boil your water, and you need the French press, and that's all you need. A teapot works really nicely. They're classic. They're so beautiful. So again, you pre-measure. I've got tea leaves in there for us today. You pre-measure your tea, put it in. We'll pour the water in. You let it steep. So the water's boiling. It just beeped. So now, because it is boiling, we don't want it to sit boiling. We want to just pour it out. So you just pour it with the French press. You just pour it right over the leaves and cover it up, just like that. Mm-hmm. And the same thing in the teapot. Pour it in, cover it up, and then you're good to go. Now, the next most important thing is time. We want to set a timer to make sure that we brew this the proper amount, because we're brewing black tea. So this is a blend, has black tea, green tea, and herbs in it. Mm-hmm. But because it has, the most important thing is that it has black tea in it. You never want to brew black tea more than 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to set a timer for us for 4 minutes. With black tea, anything containing black tea, 4 minutes tops. If you brew black tea any longer than that, it will start to get bitter, and then you definitely won't like it, unless you like really bitter tea. Green tea and white tea are usually the same, around 3 to 4 minutes. If you're brewing tea, like I have tea blends that are decaf, that are just herbal, then you can brew them as long as you like. So I tell people, if you're drinking black tea and you like it strong, add more tea, not more time. If you're drinking herbal blends and you like it really strong, you can add more tea and more time, but never add more time to black tea. Crucial things that most people don't understand about brewing loose leaf tea is that the tea leaves themselves need to expand. So tea is sold in these leaves that they curl up. When they're dried, they all curl up. A lot of herbs, they all curl up. And when they get immersed in water, they expand. So when you put in 2 teaspoons, let's say if we were doing just plain black tea, if you put in 2 teaspoons of tea, measure it out and brew it, what you get out will be at least double that size, because it needs to expand. So a lot of people love those little tea balls. They make them in all sorts of shapes and colors, and they're super cute. People love those. But if you make a cup of tea with that tea ball, you're not going to like it. It's not going to taste as good as it could, because those tea balls don't, for one thing, they don't allow for maximum water saturation, and for another thing, they don't allow the tea leaves to have enough space to expand fully. So that's why you get just a really mild flavored cup of tea when you use those tea balls. With a French press, this entire area is open and available for all of those herbs and tea leaves to expand.
It's really pretty.
It is. And the same thing in a teapot or a saucepan. I've told people time and time again, if you don't have these things and can't afford these things, you can still brew loose leaf tea. Boil water in a saucepan. Once it comes to a boil, throw in your tea leaves, put a cover on it, time it for 4 minutes, and all you need is a strainer and a cup, and you're good to go. I'm going to show you. So with a French press, all you have to do is press down on it. It takes all of the leaves down to the bottom. It's the same if you were brewing coffee. It would take all the grounds to the bottom. And there's your beautiful cup of tea. There you go. I have several different lines of tea. Because I'm an astrologer, that's astrology and astrology, kind of playing words. That's how I came up with my business. So I have a different blend for every sign of the zodiac, and then I have blends for all the planets and the sun and the new moon and the full moon. And then because I started doing this to heal myself, I have blends for sort of health conditions. Like I have the transformation line, which is for different issues that people deal with, like sweet dreams is for people who have insomnia and need to get a good night's sleep. I have Howl at the Moon, which is for women's monthly and hormonal issues. I have the pollinator for those of us in Eugene with horrible grass allergies.
Right.
The pollinator is great for that.
Right.
So I have those, and then I have the temple line, which addresses different organs of the body, the heart, the brain, kidneys, liver, things like that. And then I have my super fun line called the Bliss line, which is my chocolate and vanilla tea blends. The vanilla blends are on hold at the moment because we have, people may not know this, but we have a bit of a vanilla crisis around the world, and vanilla is exorbitantly expensive at the moment. So I had to put my vanilla blends on hold, but I have chocolate bliss blends, which are delicious.
Okay, so before we try the tea, let's real quickly talk about the Lane SBDC, because you have been coming there for services. What type of services have you received there? Was it classes, or is it just advising?
I have taken a couple classes. A few years ago, I took some classes about how to do online marketing and, how to be up your business presence on Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and those kinds of things, and what's most important to do when you have a business on there as opposed to your personal accounts. And then this year, I've also come in for advising because there was a company in India that was interested in importing my tea, and I knew nothing about the import-export business, and so I met with one of the advisors there to learn more about exporting.
And how did that go? Was it helpful for you?
It was very helpful. I learned so much. It's a huge learning curve, but I learned a lot, so I'm excited about that.
That's great. Okay, so are we ready to try it, or do we have to wait?
Please, try away.
So what do we have here? So this is one here.
This one is Heart.
And then what's the other one?
This one is called Chase Away the Blues. And see, this is how it caught a lot of the tea leaves.
Right. Very small one.
Yes. This one's called Chase Away the Blues. It's really nice this time of year when we start getting clouds and rain and people start feeling a little down.
Those are both very good. Okay, is there anything else you want to share before we finish our tea?
I really believe in the ritual of tea. I think that we're all so busy and life is so crazy and the world is pretty scary right now. And I think it's important for us to all have something that gives us comfort and something peaceful to hold on to. And creating a ritual around tea is a gift that we can give ourselves from the moment we decide, what tea do I want today? What would suit me best for how I'm feeling today? Boiling the water, being patient, establishing that sense of patience as we wait for the water to boil, setting up this beautiful space, choosing a beautiful mug, and watching the tea brew in a French press. The whole process of it can be so healing and nurturing and calming, and then sitting with the tea and letting it work with you. And that's why I believe that my tea has healed me so much, is because I didn't just chug down a cup of tea to see if it would heal me. I sat with it and I took it in, the energy of it, and I let that healing happen in my body.
Great.
So I would love to encourage more people to drink tea.
I agree.